The first debate about the economy for the Republican presidential candidates takes place tonight, and you will see it right here on Bloomberg. Well, coverage begins at 7 p.m. and the debate starts at 8. Stay tuned. One of our partners in the debate is job networking site LinkedIn. They're going to provide data that will inform questions in the debate. And joining us right now is LinkedIn's executive editor, Daniel Roth. Welcome to Street Smart, Daniel. So explain the partnership we have on this debate. Exactly what will you be providing throughout?
So for the last couple of weeks, we've been asking LinkedIn's 120 million members to tell us what they're seeing on the front lines of business. What is it? How do they feel about the state of business? How do they feel about the state of the economy? Will they be hiring? Why won't they be hiring? And what questions do they have for the candidates tonight? We asked the same. We had President Obama at LinkedIn a couple weeks ago. We asked the same thing of people then. They gave us questions for the president. Now they're giving us questions for the Republican candidates.
What's the number one question at this point?
Well, the number one concern seems to be taxation. People really feel like they are being taxed too heavily or unfairly. We went through and we looked at the comments members were giving in one of our groups, the Putting America Back to Work group. Overwhelmingly, they felt that there was an unfair system of taxation. They had questions for the candidates about what will you do to make taxation fair? How will you help level the playing field, essentially?
Unfair in what way?
Well, you know, it's interesting. A lot of people just felt like it wasn't exactly spelled out. It was more of a general feeling that somehow small business wasn't being treated right, or that that there needs to be a flat tax. A lot of calls for a flat tax. It was very interesting. And I think that what you're reading, what I would read into those...
A flat tax instead of an income tax,
exactly.
You're saying, on the individual level, which is an interesting notion. Not the first time it's been proposed, but seems like a virtual impossibility.
Yes, absolutely.
Given the divisiveness in Washington, D.C. at the moment.
Yep. And I think that if you dig into it a little bit, it's really not necessarily the flat tax that they're asking for, but they're saying we want to understand what is going on with taxes better. We want to have better visibility. It leads into another comment that a lot of members were making, which is they don't know what the future holds. And they feel like they're not going to invest in their businesses until they understand, until they have a better sense of the regulatory environment and of whether demand is going to come back. So it's more of it's this uncertainty that a lot of people feel in business today, and they're not willing to act until they get a better sense of what the future holds.
As it pertains to this particular debate, we have the Republican presidential candidates. Any specific questions for those candidates and any trends that you were able to identify in those questions? Yep.
The biggest, some of the main questions revolve around whether there is going to be any kind of bailout for small business was a big question. Another one that came up a lot, very frequently, was a question about what would the Republican candidates do to bring manufacturing back to the U.S. A lot of heat generated around this question of manufacturing. They want to know. There were a lot of people saying, I want to buy American, or I want to buy American goods, or we're not going to be able to get out of this recession unless we actually make our own products. What can you do to make sure that we're making our own products and not exporting jobs? Very big concern. Which
is something the president has been responding to as of late anyway. He's put trade high up on the agenda. Of course, China, as it relates to their currency, he's made a major issue before the jobs bill, in fact.
Well, and China is a big concern. Exporting jobs is a big concern. We asked members where they think unemployment's going to be at this time next year, and they're very pessimistic about any kind of upturn in employment. These are people who are actually doing the hiring. They're managers, they're owners of businesses, and they think unemployment next year is going to be higher or at the same level next year. And it's very scary when you look at that and you say these are the people who can actually drive the numbers.
All right. Well, I look forward to the ongoing coverage out of LinkedIn tonight during the debate. Daniel, we got to leave it there. Pleasure to meet you, and thank you for joining us here on Street Smart today. That was Daniel Roth, LinkedIn's executive editor.